Football is back, and wouldn't you know it, on the first day, we have a big upset. Texas A&M just laid the smacketh down on South Carolina last night. Got a whole lot to talk about today on the Sports Blitz. Welcome in on a Friday. It's Prediction Friday, so let us know your predictions for Arkansas-Auburn. We'll be talking about those throughout the show. We'll also look at some high school football. Now, I'm going to give high school football its time on Monday going into the season. We've got games even kicking off Tuesday. You've got the Judges Cup between Dardanelle and Danville. That's going to be on Tuesday of next week. The football season in general will begin on Friday, so there will be quite a bit going on the high school side. But we're going to have a lot of high school talk on Monday, but we are going to be joined here in just a moment. Maddie, is that who I think it is? All right, we're going to be joined here in just a moment by Coach Tommy Cody from the Atkins Red Devils, and we'll talk a lot of college football, pro football, all that today here on the Sports Blitz. But we're glad now to be joined by head coach of the Atkins Red Devils, getting prepared for the Rivals Cup against Dover, an annual rivalry football game there in the 3A. Coach Tommy Cody. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing very, very well. Well, apparently you just left a press conference for this Rivals Cup. That's how big a deal this is.
Yes, you're correct. I did, and you're right about it being a big deal. Yeah, the two communities. It's a great football game. A great atmosphere on Friday night. Both communities come out, support their teams very well, and we hope we can make it a good game.
Well, last year, if last year and the last several years, that's one of my favorite games to cover. If last year is any indication, it's going to be a great game. It was 48-35. You got the win last year. Going back 3-4 years, I've been covering that game, and it is just a whole lot of fun to watch. There's something about having a rivalry game with two communities that are very close to one another and don't just particularly care for one another as far as the schools go, to face off in week one. How does it feel to have a rivalry game right off the bat?
Well, it is. Yeah, you get the excitement of it being the first game, and everyone's excited about the first game. And then you throw on top of that, like you said, a game that I wouldn't say the two towns don't like each other, but we're very competitive. It's kind of going to set the tone for the year, and both towns are excited, and the kids are excited. So it is. It's a great atmosphere, and it's really fun to be involved in. Our kids are. I'm not sure you understand when you're young just how special it is, but they do know they're excited to get to play.
Well, you can tell that this game, every year that I've been there, it's been one of those where, and obviously the first game of the year, you're going to have some pads popping, you're going to have some big plays, you're going to have some emotion on display. But 48-35 last year, I was actually at another game last year to start the season, so I didn't get to watch it offhand. So how do you recap sort of what happened last year going into this year?
Wow. Last year we had 6 seniors, and there was 6 just high-character guys that, it was just a group that just kind of refused to lose, and Dover came in, and they were, excited about the beginning of a new season, and it was just an outstanding football game. We were down in the first half. We picked one off the last play before the half, and returned it for a touchdown, put us ahead for the first time, I think, in the game, and it kind of swung the momentum in our direction, and we were able to go ahead and finish the game up and win the football game. But it was an outstanding game. I mean, a lot of big plays, like you said, a lot of hard hits. Just a really good high school football game last year.
Well, Dover had a tough year last year, but they did win their last 2 games, so that's something that their coaches probably preached about and built upon this summer. And you mentioned the returners. I want to talk about some of the returners you've got coming back. I know here at the Sports Blitz and River Valley Leader, we hosted the Brightest Stars Banquet, and Alex Bradlin, your quarterback, was one of our nominees for the football award, which I think is just a huge honor. He had 2,000 passing yards last year, 26 touchdowns. He's back. He's one of those players, Coach, that it seems like he's been there forever. You hear that name and you think, how could he still be in high school? He's been around forever. Well, he's back to lead your team for one more year.
Yeah, and we're really glad we've got him. You're right. Alex got thrust into the starting job as a sophomore. I believe it was week 6 or week 7 and we had a very good young man at that time named Ty Ennis that was going to set all the school records, was having a great year, started the season 5-0, and he broke his finger, his index finger on his throwing hand, and we lost him for the year, and Alex stepped in and had a few sophomore growing pains, but boy, he got better as the year went on, and he's just been the man ever since. And you're right, I sure am glad we've still got him, though. He's a special young man, and when you started as many games at quarterback as he has under the same system, he pretty well knows what I'm thinking when I call a play. He knows where we're trying to go with the ball. And, he's going to be a real big key for our success this year.
Well, Coach, you replaced a man who, if I'm not mistaken, his name is on the stadium now, right? So explain, tell us a little bit about the transition, how it's going, and like you mentioned, the system that these guys have been in for a little while now. Share with us a little bit about some of the players you've got coming back and how things have gone for you there in Atkins. Apparently, it's gone pretty well.
Well, it has. Any time that I get to speak in public, I truly mean that it is an honor to be the football coach in Atkins. I'm following not just a coaching legend, maybe one of the best high school football coaches ever to coach in the state of Arkansas, but one of the best people. Charlie Sorrells, Coach Sorrells is still our athletic director, and he is an unbelievable person. And it's just an honor to be the football coach here. And we did, have a change in styles. Coach Sorrells was a power eye, run the football boy. He had great tailbacks, and kids grew up in Atkins wanting to be the tailback of the Atkins Rebels. And I came in, and we've installed a spread, no huddle, play fast kind of system. And fortunately, it's kind of fit our guys that we have now. We really don't have the really big, strong, fast tailbacks right now. And, our guys, it fits what we have. And they've bought in. And, after 4 years, we're doing it pretty well.
Well, give me some guys to look out for this year, some folks that, some names that maybe folks don't know or some names that folks are familiar with that you think are going to have good seasons.
Well, I want to start out with a guy that, Colby Johnston, he was a guy that we were going to count on heavily, and he broke his collarbone in our scrimmage. And, in this day of technology, coaches can't keep injuries secret anymore. Everyone in the world knew about that as soon as it happened. But he broke his collarbone, and we may not have him for the year. And he was a senior. He was going to be our go-to receiver, our go-to back. He was Mr. Defense for us. He was going to be the guy that we leaned on heavily. And we won't have him, but I certainly, the effort that he has put in and the time that he's put in as the Atkins Red Devil, I don't want anyone to forget that young man because he did a great job for us. And I'm hoping he gets back maybe his last couple games, but we just don't know right now. And, he's a great loss, but he's one of those guys that I want to be able to mention. Some of the guys that we do have, Jake Alexander is a senior up on our offensive line. He's going to anchor us up there. Looking for great things from him. He'll be on the offensive line and the defensive line. Austin Dobbs will be playing left tackle for us. He's one of those guys, he's a junior. You need to kind of keep that name in mind because I think he can go on, and I don't know at what level, but he has the frame to play football at the next level. He's a 6'4", 290-pound kid, moves pretty well, and I think as he matures and develops, he's going to be a really good player, and probably his best time is going to be at the next level, I hope. Skylar Bowden plays fullback for us and linebacker. He's a senior. He's undersized. He's not the fastest thing in the world, but I tell you what, he's one of those guys that you love having on your team. He's an overachiever. He plays hard. He practices hard every day, and just one of those guys you can count on. So, and we've got several of those type kids for us, but Skylar really stands out in those areas. But those are just some of our guys that I believe are going to have good years.
Well, it looks like you guys have got if I'm not mistaken, the AAA changing the schedules and things like that. You've got a different looking schedule this year than last year and in years past. Talk about some of the schedule that you've got this year and the goals that you've set for your team.
Sure. Yeah, we have changed conferences. We're now going to be playing in the conference with Harding Academy, Barton, who's, if you take out a map of Arkansas and you find Atkins and you find Barton, I don't know how you can get those two guys in the same conference, but some way the AAA figured that out. It's over on we're going to travel to the Mississippi River, basically. But Barton, great football team, great tradition. We play Mayflower, maybe the best athletic team in our conference this year. We're going to play Mariana, who's also over there on the Mississippi River. We got Rosebud. We've got Bald Knob. We've got Perryville. And us. And I think that's 8. I hope I didn't leave any of them out. And as far as our goals go, our goals stay the same every year. We want to make the playoffs, figure out some way to make the playoffs. That's our goal going in every year, whether it's first through, I think our conference gets 5 this year. So, if we can figure out a way to get in the top 5 and get to the playoffs, that's one of our goals. And then secondly, we'd like to win a game in the playoffs. Once you get there, you never know what's going to happen. And maybe the most important one is I just want our kids to compete in every single football game that we play in.
Well, it sounds like you've got some really solid goals, things that the players can kind of gravitate to and that they can hopefully play well this year. Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you for taking time out of the day, and we'll hope to talk with you again very soon.
Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it.
All right, that's Coach Tommy Cody, Atkins Red Devils head football coach. We're heading into the Rivals Cup against Dover. They've got Dover at home on next Friday, so that's going to be a big game there in the 3A. We appreciate his time today. We're going to take a break real quickly. KJ Hill, about 10 o'clock this morning, committed to play for the Hogs. That's in North Little Rock. 4-star wide receiver, big get for the Arkansas Razorbacks. But I want to tell you today why I'm a little bit leery of what KJ Hill had to say today. Also, the Texas A&M South Carolina game. I want to look at why that kind of scares me a little bit for this weekend. I'll talk about that and much more after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
All right, 52-28. That's what Texas A&M did to South Carolina last night. Top 10 team in the country at home gets murdered on week 1 of the college football season. A lot of folks were like me watching that game thinking, what in the world is happening? Steve Spurrier, he was thinking, what in the world is happening? South Carolina goes from a 4-3 to a 3-4 defense. Lorenzo Ward, he better figure something out before this East Carolina game, because if they get beat again like that this year, he's going to get fired on the sideline. He's going to get Jack Crowed right there in front of everyone, because that was just an unreal display. And I got to take our hat off to Texas A&M. A lot of folks talking about Johnny Manziel and how he made this team, and no, Kevin Sumlin, he showed off last night. This guy, they're trying to say Kenny football now, but he doesn't like that, and he would rather have something else. His name's Kenny Hill. If I were going to write a headline today, Maddie, my headline from last night's game would have been Hill, yeah. That's exactly what it would have been, just saying. That's neither here nor there. Here we got some little bit of highlights going on from the game last night. Kenny Hill passed the ball 60 times last night. He had 511 yards. Count them, 511 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, just an absolute carving up of the South Carolina defense. I was amazed at how confused the South Carolina defense looked. I know they're running a new system. I know they've got a new thing going there with the defense. I heard Paul Feinbaum yesterday say that South Carolina's defense would be better off without Jadeveon Clowney. How many quarterback pressures did you have last night there, South Carolina? They couldn't get anywhere in the Texas A&M backfield. Quarterback just did whatever he wanted all night long. Busted coverages all over the place. I mean, it's stuff like the cornerback doesn't know, oh, I've got deep thirds, there's a guy running wide open. Or there was one that I saw in the first half where a guy, and it wasn't a touchdown, it was just a long gain, where there was a guy, there was nobody within 5 yards of him in any direction when he caught the pass. And it was just unbelievable. And Texas A&M, on the other side, their defense, you're watching it right now, didn't look great. Their defensive backs looked awful. There was one that at the end of the first half where South Carolina had a touchdown, and the guy didn't know that there was somebody behind him, just nailed him, hit him right in the back, and he dropped the ball. And everybody's saying, what a great play. I'm thinking, dude's lucky, because that guy just walked into the end zone for a touchdown. If he didn't hit him at the last second after he was out of position, he would have been, this is it right here, boom. If that guy catches that ball and knows there's somebody behind him and holds on to it, that corner, that safety looks like an idiot for not being in the right position the whole time. So I was very impressed with what I saw from Kevin Sumlin and his play calling and what he did to get Kenny Hill ready. A big hat off to Kenny Hill. 500. He broke Johnny Manziel's record for yards, just offensive production in his first start. 511 passing yards. It's a little game, scary. That game kind of worries me for 2 reasons. One, everybody thought A&M was just going to be a doormat right this year in the SEC West. If Arkansas wasn't, Texas A&M was supposed to be that doormat. And for 2, I can see the sort of correlation between Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Arkansas Auburn this weekend. I know it's not apples to apples, but Texas A&M, that no huddle, hurry up, sling it all over the place, run the same play. I came away with the same 7 or 8 times in a row. And then South Carolina, new defensive coordinator, new defensive system. I know Arkansas is not going to be in the 3-4 look, and it's not going to be that way, but to have that going on, that transition going on, I can see some of the same confusion taking place. And I'll give you some predictions here in just a little bit for the Arkansas-Auburn game, but I was a little bit worried by what I saw from that Texas A&M game last night, because South Carolina, they just looked absolutely outmanned on defense. They just didn't have a chance. Offense didn't look terrible. Dylan Thompson threw, I think, 3 touchdown passes, maybe even more. Let me pull up the numbers here, but he missed a couple receivers, and that really doesn't matter. That's really not the point, because when you give up 52 points, you're going to lose every game. You expect to lose if you give up 52 points. So hats off definitely to Texas A&M. Maddie, you watched the Ole Miss Boise State game, and I watched a little bit of it, and then I had to put little man to bed. But first half, Bo Wallace throws 3 picks. I looked in the third quarter when they started pulling away. And Laquan Treadwell had like 5 catches for 100 and some yards, and they had another guy who just busted off like a 70-yard touchdown reception there. So Bo Wallace sort of turned it around the second half.
It was a weird game. It was just like a tale of not really even 2 halves, like a tale of the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter was kind of an explosion for them. And Bo Wallace looked like the invasion of the body snatchers type deal, where he wasn't Bo Wallace anymore. It was strange. Not that you can count on him being good the rest of the year. I'm not saying that. But, if he's able to play like that at all against anybody for a full game, I think I heard somebody this morning on the radio say they're going to be hard to beat. And they will be. But you can say that about a lot of teams. Like, well, if they all play well, it'll be hard to beat. But Ole Miss has some serious talent.
Oh, yeah.
And if they actually can put it together, they can be something. But
how many people in the world believe Robert Kimdichie looks like a 19-year-old kid?
Yeah,
Oh, my
I am
goodness.
5.
That kid, what is it? The written in crayon, I am 12. That's
that's right.
What's that movie? He's trying to play Little League Baseball or something. He's like, I am 12. He's got a full beard. Kimdichie, man, he is a beast, and he broke through the line on one and just demolished the quarterback after he threw it. But he demolished the quarterback, and he stood up, and I'm just thinking, that kid is a sophomore. He is 19 years old. Unbelievable. So, yeah, Ole Miss has definitely recruited real well. Hugh Freeze got it going over there, and that's another SEC West team. So, Arkansas's playing Auburn this weekend. They watch Ole Miss go crazy. They watch Texas A&M just absolutely obliterate a top 10 East team there. Dylan Thompson had 366 yards and 4 touchdowns last night. So, man, 60 attempts for Kenny Hill in that South Carolina A&M game. So I'm just glad college football is back. Vanderbilt, they had some sweet-looking unis. I don't know if you saw those. They're all black.
Did. The black with the black lettering and all that stuff.
And then they got murdered.
I saw the score when it was 21-7 or 3 or something like that. What did the score end up?
I think it was 37-7, if I'm not mistaken, or 27-7. I saw that.
Was that expected?
No, I picked Vanderbilt to win that game.
Okay.
Temple had a quarterback that was supposed to be pretty good, but that was about all we knew of them. And to see them just get killed like that was kind of a little bit shocking. But it's kind of funny because James Franklin brought them from nowhere, and everybody's just like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Let him go. Let him go to Penn State. Can we have James Franklin back? That's what the fans are saying today there in Vanderbilt. Yeah, 37-7. Temple came into their house and put a whipping on them. That's a great start to the Derek Mason era there in Vanderbilt. So looks like they'll go back to not mattering and being irrelevant there in Vanderbilt. So Blake Sims going to start for Alabama. That's the news of the day. It's not really that much of a shock. We talked about that the other day. A lot of folks wanted the other one, Jacob Coker, to transfer from Florida State to start, but apparently he's just not been all that steady. And when you look at Sims, a fifth-year senior, been there the whole time, been there under A.J. McCarron, been there with Nick Saban, he's just been steady. And as of the last couple practices, I was listening to somebody yesterday, they said it's not that he's been great, it's been that Coker's been so up and down that they just can't trust him. They're going to start Sims, so that's a big start for Alabama there. A little bit of an upset for the all-everything quarterback that apparently, supposedly, reportedly, allegedly nearly beat out Jameis Winston last year for the job and then transferred to Alabama. To not get the job in Alabama, that's saying something.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Alabama, I mean, they're just a machine anyway. I picked them to go to the national championship. I picked them to win the national championship, so shouldn't be too surprised when they pick a quarterback who's going to be steady as she goes. But I do want to see if he's going to be more A.J. McCarron or more John Parker Wilson, because that's going to determine a lot for Alabama. If he's a John Parker Wilson, they're going to get deep into the playoffs, maybe even not even to the playoffs, maybe to Auburn-type atmosphere, LSU, and then he's going to do something to screw it up or not make the play when they need to make a play. And if he's more A.J. McCarron, then he'll probably make a play that can help them win that game. So I'm going to be interested to see how he plays. But man, there's just so much stuff going on right now in college football, so much going on this weekend. I'm looking forward to a big Arkansas-Auburn game tomorrow. Got some kids coming over to the house from church to grill out and watch the game. Big chance of rain, so maybe that'll even the playing field for Arkansas. There's apparently an 80% chance of rain in Auburn tomorrow. Who does that favor? I mean, both teams like to run the ball. Auburn likes to go fast, so maybe they'll have an advantage there. But I think Arkansas wanting to slow the game down, grind it down, I think they'll take a little bit of an advantage in the rain. And the fact that Arkansas just wants to pound and keep the ball away from Auburn, and Auburn wants to go. Well, if they're if Arkansas is able to even the playing field a little bit because of the rain, maybe they'll have an advantage. I think the Auburn fans are probably thinking the exact same thing. We're going to have an advantage because we know where we're going on offense and you don't. So that's probably we'll see. We'll see how that's going to affect things and see whether one team gets an advantage or not.
Yeah, I'm excited about the game, and I wonder how long into the game that feeling will last. That's what I'm worried about. Yeah, I'm just wondering if halftime comes, if I'm going to be looking for an exit. Because, well, I'm not one of these that just likes to leave, but I also don't want to watch Arkansas get pounded because it hurts me too much.
Aww.
It really does. And you know me, when I watch Arkansas lose, then I'm in a bad mood for 3 days or more. Usually, it just depends on what kind of a loss. Like the South Carolina loss last year really pissed me off because it's freaking South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was like, we don't lose to South Carolina 52-7, and that one made me mad. Alabama one is different. It's Alabama, but and the Rutgers game made me pretty mad. But this one, if we lose, I expect us to lose, so I'm not going to be a wreck after. But if we just get thrashed, then yeah, I will be. So it just kind of depends. I'm wondering how long I can make it. I want to do some over-unders on this with our viewers here to see how long they think it's going to last.
Yeah, we've asked today's CrossFit Russellville poll question. Give us your predictions. Give us your scores, things you expect from the game tomorrow. I don't know if you'll expect that Arkansas is going to win or if you expect that Arkansas is going to keep it close. I've got a prediction for you, a score here in just a little bit. But let us know what you think. You can call us at 968 News. Phone line's going to be open between now and noon as we've got our phone call there with Coach Cody out of the way. Appreciate Coach Cody calling us and letting us know about this Rivals Cup game coming up on next Friday. We'll look at the high school football schedule in greater depth on Monday because we've just got a whole lot of college football to get to today. I want to look at your predictions, my predictions, Maddie's predictions, and maybe even a little bit more of the Kool-Aid Minute here in a moment because I think it's fun to think about best case scenario. Obviously, we don't. I'm sort of the sports pessimist in that I think, man. I go Lou Holtz style. I don't know if you remember Lou Holtz talking about he'd be at a Notre Dame team that was just loaded, and they'd be playing Navy that weekend, and Navy would be terrible. They'd be a 40-point favorite, and he'd say, "Oh, I just don't know how we're going to beat Navy this week." And I'm kind of one of those that even if I think Arkansas is going to win by a lot, I'm thinking, well, what's Arkansas going to have to do this week to win? So I'm interested to see what your thoughts are and for you to know what I have to say about this weekend's game against Auburn. Maddie, let's hit this second break because I've got to talk about KJ Hill. I got to talk about the talented North Little Rock recruit in the final segment. Well, I guess we'll come back. Let's do that. We'll come back with KJ Hill, who committed to play for Arkansas. Wide receiver, 4-star, offers from everyone, Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, Notre Dame, to everyone, and he picked Arkansas. I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm a little concerned about the language in KJ Hill's commitment today. No, he didn't cuss, but he said some things today that I was kind of, and I'm seeing it come across the Twitter sphere right now that other folks picked up on it as well. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
This just in. Josh Saw lied. Y'all hear the USC story where this player got 2 high ankle sprains, got one on each ankle from jumping off the second-story balcony to save his drowning nephew in the pool? Yeah, he made it up. We said on Wednesday, man, Lord help him if he lied and just made this whole thing up, because it was an elaborate story, an elaborate lie, and that's exactly what it was. Now he's been suspended indefinitely. He came to Coach Sarkisian and apologized, and I don't know what he was trying to cover up. We'll see if he hurt himself playing basketball, or if he. How do you get 2 high ankle sprains playing basketball? He probably did jump off of something for some reason or another, being stupid. And now a 5th-year senior who was voted a captain is suspended indefinitely because he had to lie like that, when he probably would have been out for a little while anyway. So Sarkisian says he's not going to kick him off the team. He's suspended him indefinitely. He wouldn't rule out a return. Of course, he wouldn't rule out a return. He's a 5th-year senior, a starter at defensive back. If he's healthy and able to play, you just say, hey, your punishment for being stupid is the fact that you didn't get to play when you were injured and you got publicly shamed before everyone. Now come back and help us win. Steve Sarkisian's in a bad way right now. He had a 5th-year senior running back, I believe, who quit the team this week and called Sarkisian a racist on Twitter, or on Instagram. So that's a bad week for USC, who's a top 25 team. Now they're without 2 of their better players in 1 week. So speaking of better players, one of the better players in the state of Arkansas, the #1 player in the 2015 class, KJ Hill, wide receiver from North Little Rock. Lots of talent in this guy. He's a 4'4" wide receiver, about 6'3", 190. He's just a beast, and he had offers from everywhere. He decides this morning, 10 a.m. at the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame, I'm going to be a Razorback. He announces that decision. The state goes crazy. Twitter loves it. I love it. Of course, I think he telegraphed it yesterday when he decided he was going to announce at the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. You don't go to the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame and say you're going someplace else. It's just, you won't make it out of the building. I think they'd leave him alone. But Trey Biddy, I don't want to steal his thunder because this was his initial thought, and he said this for months. This Arkansas Sports writer there from Hog Sports, Rivals writer, and he covers recruiting and covers the Hogs, and he said that he thought that KJ Hill was going to be a Hog, and he said the same sort of thing. He's never in his time, 10-plus years covering the Hogs, seen a player who called a press conference in the state, an in-state player, to go out of the state. They've sent a press release quietly, or they've announced it over social media real quietly to where it wasn't a big thing where they're out in public. So he sort of telegraphed it, I think, when he said, I'm going to Arkansas today, when he said, I'm going to announce 10 o'clock Friday morning at the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. But he did say some stuff today that was sort of concerning to me. No, I'm not going to be – I said I was a pessimist. I'm not too much of a pessimist to where I think that it's too good to be true. And I do think KJ Hill wants to come to Arkansas. But he made the point that I'm going to still take my 5 official visits. I said, well, why do you commit? If you're still going to take 5, I know what you're saying and you're thinking right now. Well, he's got 5 visits that NCAA will allow those schools to pay for. They can get him over there. They can wine and dine him and give him this great experience over a weekend at Alabama or Florida or Texas or wherever, Notre Dame, wherever he decides to go, and then he can come to Arkansas anyway. Well, why don't you take those visits and then commit? Because the way it seems to me is, well, I'm committed, but I'm going to go visit these places. Well, that's not really a commitment, is it? I didn't say, hey, wife, I want to marry you, but let me date these 5 girls first. That didn't happen that way. It just doesn't make any sense to me to take those visits. I know what people are saying, but I would rather him say, all right, I'm going to take these 5 visits, and then I'm going to commit. I'm not saying he's going to flip. I think he'll stay with Arkansas. I think he's going to bring Will Gragg along. That's a tight end. He's now at Dumas. He was at Pine Bluff before. He very, very talented. And he tweeted yesterday that the first part of the package deal comes today. And KJ Hill was the first part. Means Will Gragg apparently is trying to send the bat signal that I'm coming with KJ Hill. He'll come play at Arkansas. And then there was some talk about LaMichael Petway, wide receiver out of Nashville, Arkansas. Whether or not he is part of this package deal, who knows? Trey Biddy, I did hear yesterday, say that he didn't think Arkansas was all that high on Petway, which he's watching his highlights. I hadn't seen him play live from down there in Nashville, but watching his highlights, he looks really good. He's committed to Ole Miss now. I think if you can give a scholarship to an in-state guy, a top 10 in-state guy, and keep him away from Ole Miss, you do it. So I think LaMichael Petway will end up being a hog. Those 3 guys make 8 4-star guys. Petway's a 3-star, so it's just with KJ and with Will Gragg would make 8 4-star guys on Arkansas's 2015 class. They average about 4 stars a year.
Yeah, what you said is exactly, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. Even if you're not that high, even if you're not that high on him, keep him because he's in-state and he is at least a 3-star in-state guy. You want to keep those guys, I think, anyway, if you can. And he's committed to Ole Miss, an SEC West rival. Keep that kid in Arkansas, even if you don't think he's exactly fits the mold of what you're looking for. Keep him away from them anyway.
Yep.
If he's got any amount of talent that warrants him getting a scholarship offer from Ole Miss, with the way they're recruiting right now, keep him.
I don't think he's I don't know him, but I don't think he's one of those grade risks or one of those character type risks. I think Bobby Petrino, as big a jerk as he was in his wisdom there, he decided not to take Michael Dyer because you saw from Michael Dyer some of the bad stuff that had taken place. Michael Dyer goes from Auburn to college here in Arkansas, small college, and then to Arkansas State, and now to Louisville. He's been 4 places in 5 years. He's been trouble, and they didn't want him as much. So I think that's like the only reason you let a guy go. And he went to Auburn, and you've seen him bounce around since. So maybe if that's the case, then you let him go away. But I'm with you. If he's a talented player who can help you and hurt you, if he's going to go to Ole Miss where they've got Laquan Treadwell and this other guy who had a big long touchdown last night, his name is escaping me. If they've got guys like that who are just Core, is that his name? Core?
I think his name is Core.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was some 4-letter word, but I didn't know. That's all Ole Miss players. They're all 4-letter words. But
Kim Dichie. It's 4 letters. It's NKMD.
Chi.
That's right.
I don't know.
The Chi is silent.
The Chi is silent. Oh man, I'm with you. I think you take LaMichael Petway, just if no other reason to keep him away from the other folks. But we'll see. I think he'll be a hog. I think these guys are going to help recruit. They're going to do sort of what Rafe Peavy did and what Jonathan Williams before him did. They're going to help recruit. And, man, that's a really good in-state class that Arkansas is getting there in the 2015 class. Ty Story coming in. They've got a good recruiting class coming in with those guys. So I'm hoping that KJ Hill can turn on the recruiting and that he doesn't do what I fear, and that's go to one of these other visits and say, you know what, I think I've made a bad decision. And on signing day flip on Arkansas, that would be awful. But going back and remembering what Arkansas did for him, I don't see how. And he said it. He said they rolled out the red carpet for me every time I went to the university. But on one of the last days of spring practice, Brett Bielema and all his offensive staff showed up to KJ Hill's practice, every single one of them show up and stand there on the sideline just to watch him practice. I'd be sign me up right now if you did that for me. But so I think they've done enough work on KJ that they're going to end up keeping him on board, and he's been shown the love that you got to show. I mean, I bet they went and liked all his Instagram posts and retweeted all his tweets and did all that, just because that's what you have to do these days, Maddie, to show the kids that you care. You have to be one of their followers.
To Twitter them.
You have to Twitter them, yes.
Yeah.
You have to take care of their social media needs there to make them know. You have to show them the Twitter love and show them the social media love. That's how you do it.
Because that's the true measure of love and care.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about asking my kids that today.
Instagram them.
Where you've got all these
Facebook.
followers, but where are they following you? You know, Where are you taking them? That's something to think about. All right, let's hit our last break. So I want to get to predictions. It's Prediction Friday. I want to get to the stars, the studs, the things that I think are going to happen in this game tomorrow. 3 o'clock kick on SEC Network. Arkansas, Auburn from Jordan Hare. Man, I'm looking forward to it. That's how they pronounce it. I know it looks like Jordan, but they pronounce it Jordan. I don't know. It should be Jordan, but they're Auburn, so they're the War Eagle Fighting Tigers. Why would it ever make sense? Prediction Friday.
Damn Tide Eagle.
Yeah, something.
Eagle.
Give us a call. 968 News predictions today. Facebook.com/SportsBlitz. We've got one segment left. We want you to be a part.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
All right, I want to get to the Hogs here in just a moment. Big college football games this weekend, man. The last night, South Carolina and A&M. That's two ranked teams playing. There are two other games with ranked opponents taking on one another. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But also in the NFL, just news come out yesterday. I feel like it's big enough that we need to mention it. Roger Goodell, he swings a pretty heavy hammer. And a lot of times he's not in a lot of people's good graces because he's so stiff with the penalties. Well, he gave a pretty crappy, terrible penalty to Ray Rice. He beats his wife, knocks her out in the elevator. He gives him a 2-game suspension. Comes out yesterday and he says, man, I screwed up. I like that. I like when a person can say they messed up. It shows manhood to me to be able to admit when you're wrong. And he said 6 games. Now that's the new standard from the NFL. All players, all NFL personnel, you get convicted of domestic abuse, 6 games, first offense, second offense, lifetime ban. I want to say kudos to the NFL for finally getting something right there. Also, I think it's funny, and I told my wife this, the NFL, they're getting a little big for their britches in a lot of ways, but one thing they're doing that I think it's kind of like, at first I thought this is the most arrogant thing I've ever seen or heard in my life, but I like it. They have asked, they're trying to make this a thing to where fantasy football is taught in math curriculum in schools. I thought about that at first, and I thought, how dare you, NFL, try to tell folks what they should teach? And then I thought, man, I would have cared a lot more about math if I was putting my fantasy team together. I would have been a lot better at math. And I know I'm decent at, like, certain stuff in math, like the common sense stuff, but I knew my multiplication tables in 3rd grade. Don't know them as well now as I did then either. But I think it's a cool idea that my wife's a business teacher, teaches accounting, teaches those types of things at the high school, and I told her, I was like, you ought to think about doing something like this. Like, let the guys who would sit in there otherwise and be causing crap or, playing grab rear or chasing the women around in your class, let them play some fantasy football. Let them do some math.
If it doesn't work,
tangible.
What have you lost? You were saying, those guys aren't going to do it anyway. Like me, I didn't care about math. I hated math.
Oh, I
Make
did too.
it a little interesting, a little fun, and I would have been into it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Can't hurt.
All right, let's look at college football. Two big games. Clemson, Georgia. That's number 16 versus number 12. They're in Georgia. And then Wisconsin, LSU, 14-13. Man, that's a big, big game there. I want to start with Clemson, Georgia. Both of those two replacing quarterbacks, well-entrenched quarterbacks, Taj Boyd and Aaron Murray, both gone. I think Georgia's got the advantage for a couple of reasons. Sammy Watkins and Taj Boyd were the Clemson offense. And from what I've heard, Zach Brooks, Jonesboro product, is playing at Clemson. He's going to be out for this game. He was a running back that they were counting on doing big things there in Clemson. I think he's out. I'm going to go with Georgia close in that game because Todd Gurley, he's just a freak. He's a beast. If he's able to stay healthy, which be the first time that he's stayed healthy, I think he's going to be the X factor and the difference maker there for Georgia. Of course, I did say South Carolina was going to beat Texas A&M last night, so you can pretty much just take whatever I say for what it's worth, which is not much. And I'm going to go Georgia in that one. And then the big game to me, Wisconsin LSU. That one's a fun one. LSU replacing a lot of folks, but they always are. They're running back down there right now. They had Jeremy Hill last year, and they've got Leonard Fournette. That's a name you're going to want to know by the end of this year. A lot of folks talking about him as being Adrian Peterson good, like ready for the league right now good. Great. Come on into the SEC West. We talked about Ole Miss and A&M, and now LSU's got an NFL running back. Yay. I'm interested to see how he plays with what's going to be a really good, solid line, going to be a new quarterback. They've got the guy who led LSU on that drive against Arkansas. Let's not talk about it. But LSU going to be replacing Zach Mettenberger, replacing Odell Beckham, replacing Jeremy Hill. Lots and lots of talent that they're replacing like they do every year. Wisconsin is replacing all 7 of their back 7 on defense. They're replacing every single one of them. It's the front 7. All their defensive linemen and all their linebackers.
How is it that they're ranked so high?
Because they've got a good running back. They've got a quarterback back. They've got some talent. Aberdaris is gone, so they've lost a wide receiver there at Wisconsin, but they've recruited well. They're going to be pretty good in the Big Ten. I think they just expected them to be up there. They recruit well. They've got a system in place. I think Wisconsin's going to be pretty good. I'm going to go LSU in this game. I think that's in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No, actually, I think that's in Dallas, and the Houston one is the Oklahoma State, Florida State game. I think I'm gonna make sure real quickly, but yeah, I'm gonna go LSU.
So is it in Jerry World?
Say what?
Is it in Jerry World?
Yeah, one of them's in Jerry World, one of them's at the Houston Texans Stadium. So I want to make real sure real quickly before I say that, and I'm wrong. But yeah, I think the LSU Wisconsin game is in Dallas. I think that's right.
Somewhere over there in Texas.
Somewhere over there in there.
It's a big state. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, it's prediction time. No, Houston's where Wisconsin and LSU is. Florida State and Oklahoma State is going to be in Dallas and Jerry World. So I had it backwards. Yeah, you're right. If that's going to affect you in who you pick to win this game, there you go. There's your information. Hogs, Auburn, 3 o'clock tomorrow, SEC Network. Brandon Allen dealing with the fact that his vehicle was set ablaze, dealing with the fact that Arkansas is on a 9-game losing streak. Brett Bielema has not won a conference game yet, dealing with a lot of different facts, dealing with the fact that Auburn's coming off a national championship game appearance, and here we are talking about a game against a team that was in the national championship game and saying Arkansas can win this game. I'm wondering what in the world is going on this TV. That's one thing I'm wondering. And then I'm also wondering how Auburn is being so disrespected. Like I've listened to talk radio across the state, and I've listened to folks say things like, oh yeah, Arkansas going to win 38-14. Dude, what? What about Auburn leads you to a second-year quarterback?
It's the Kool-Aid.
It is. I mean, it's the Kool-Aid minute. I don't know. I've got some predictions. I've got some things that I want to look at. I do think that we talked about a position-by-position breakdown. I think Arkansas's offensive line, we mentioned this the last 2 shows, they would be the 4th biggest line in the NFL by weight. I think that Coach Herbert has put on the right weight. Put the right weight on the players. Sam Pittman got some guys in there that are very talented. Got a real good 2 deep at offensive line. Got 3 great running backs. If Brandon Allen can keep the pressure off of them by completing some passes, the receivers can do some actual catching this year. I think that the running backs and the offensive line are going to have their way with a lot of teams, and I think they'll be able to do that with Auburn. I think they'll be able to put some points on the board because of how much I think that Arkansas is going to have an advantage. I do want to point out something that I heard yesterday, that Auburn was, I think, top 10 in the country in quarterback hurries and sacks and things, and they don't blitz that often. That means their defensive line is very talented. I think they will be good, but I think this style, this punch-you-in-the-mouth style, when you're practicing against a no-huddle, hurry up, go type thing, and then you get 315-pound man beasts and 3-headed monsters running back, I think it's going to be a little different for Auburn, and I think Arkansas is going to have an advantage there. Then you flip the script, and Arkansas's defensive line is pretty good. Linebackers, we know nothing about whether Arkansas's linebackers can hold up. I'll just go ahead and say it. I think Auburn's going to have their way as well. And when you look at my stars, I think one of our Auburn running backs, we don't even know which one yet. It's not going to be Trey Mason. He's gone. But I think one of those running backs you're going to look at after this game and say, holy smokes. That I don't know. It may be they've got a 5-star recruit coming in. They've got a returner that is apparently pretty good there at Auburn. I think one of those guys after this game you're going to be thinking, dude, that guy can play. And I think he's going to be one of they're going to have at least one guy on as far as a running back that will make a difference. And then you go down wide receivers and defensive backs. I think Arkansas, they just got to catch the ball. Like, they're not going to do anything crazy. They're not going to do anything. They may have a trick play here or there, which Bielema likes to do. It's funny. Petrino, he run that cowboy play where they hide the ball and then throw it to the tight end, and that's about as extensive as Brett Bielema's craziness gets. Like a pass down the seam to the tight end. That's like as crazy as he's going to make things. So I do think they'll have some stuff like that up their sleeve for them. But we're talking about Auburn too. This is the same coach who ran the Woody play where he'd hide Reggie Fish down below and you couldn't see him, and then he'd run. It's just like the craziest stuff that Gus Malzahn would do. I can expect that both teams are going to do a little bit of that. Wide receivers and defensive backs. Arkansas on defense is toast. I'll just tell you that right now. Sammy Coates and what's the other wide receiver from Auburn's name? The big talented Duke Calhoun. Those guys are going to have a field day. If Auburn can throw the ball to them, Arkansas is going to be in trouble because they're going to want to run. They're going to run the ball over and over and over, run that same play if they can over and over and over, and just get Arkansas in bad positions. And like I saw with Texas A&M and South Carolina, A&M was continuing to just pound, and they'd find these guys in a new system out of place, and then they'd take advantage. Auburn's going to do that to Arkansas several times in this game. One of my predictions, Maddie, I think there's going to be at least 5 20-plus yard plays in this game. That's between the two teams. 3 for one, 2 for the other, 4 for one, 1 for the other, whatever.
That.
5 20-plus yard plays, big plays in this game. I can see this being one of those games where you see several long touchdowns as well. Do you agree?
I do agree. I think
He's
that's
like,
sorry.
whatever.
I was watching Corliss Marshall here, which is
I hope he's a
exactly
difference
which fits
maker.
in with what you're saying. I think that he's perfectly capable of breaking off something like that. So I think that actually is a good pre-stat for you to throw out there. I think that's a.
Well, I'm gonna
likely.
get to predictions here in just a moment. But what do you think Arkansas has to do to win this game? I think that with the rain supposedly coming in, they're gonna have to be very, very sure-handed with the ball. They can't turn the ball over. If you're gonna give the ball back to Auburn, they don't need your help.
I want to be very cliche here and say control the line of scrimmage, but I mean like on the offensive side of the ball, if our offensive line, which are big old boys, can hold their ground, then I think it's going to give Brandon Allen time, a healthy Brandon Allen time to throw. And I think that changes the game completely if it turns out that Arkansas's offensive line is able to hold their ground against Auburn. Because if we see it on that first series, if they're able to, that could be they could be one of these games similar to the Texas A&M game, but hopefully better than that, to where it's kind of a back and forth type game. Because like what you were just talking about, Auburn's defense, we don't know exactly if they're going to be as porous as they looked sometimes last year or what. They very well may. So. It was 35-17, I think, last year with Arkansas. Arkansas looks to be much better. Auburn, I'm sure, will be better in some areas, but will they be the team they were last year, the team of destiny? So I think he can even out. Not that I think Arkansas is going to win, but I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I hope that I'm right.
I don't think that Arkansas is going to beat Auburn. I don't think Auburn's going to win every game they play this year either. I don't think that they're going to get as lucky as they did this last year, but I do think that they're enough better than Arkansas that they're going to be able to win the game, especially at home, coming off it's their 75th year in Jordan-Hare, so it's going to be like a big sort of thing tomorrow there in Auburn. I think Auburn, talk about cliches, I think Arkansas to win this game, they have to get off to a fast start. I told you my Kool-Aid pick was for them to, they get off to a fast start and Auburn just can't catch up. Like if I were going to pick Arkansas to win the game, I would say they have to get a 2-touchdown lead before Nick Marshall comes back in, and then there have to be like some miscues here and there from Auburn, and that they just can't come back. Because just imagine if Arkansas is up 10 points with about 4 minutes left in the game and Auburn's got the ball, the amount of pressure that Auburn would put on Arkansas, just pound, hurry, go for it on fourth down, just do anything they have to do. And can Arkansas stand up to that? That's to me, that's asking a lot, and I don't think they can. I hope they can. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Arkansas is up by 5 touchdowns and never becomes an issue. But that's just something that I wonder about. But if Arkansas is going to win, I think they're going to have to, in the rain and whatever sort of elements that there are, they're going to have to be very, very sure with the ball. They're not a very penalized team, which is a Brett Bielema staple. They don't get penalties, so that's going to be good. But they can't put the ball on the ground. If you want to run the ball over and over and over, you can't put it on the ground.
Alex.
Alex Collins has had issues with that in the past. Corliss Marshall we don't know. We haven't seen him all that much, but I've heard that he's had a little bit of fumbleitis through the spring. That's why I think Jonathan Williams is going to be the star of this game for Arkansas. I think he's going to have 100 yards rushing. There he is. I think he's going to have 100 yards rushing. I think he's going to be the one that Arkansas trusts. I think he's going to be the one that Bielema trusts. And I think Brandon Allen's going to have 200 yards passing. I'll just go ahead and tell you now, I think Arkansas is going to score 27 points. I think Brandon Allen's going to have 200 yards passing, enough, to kind of spread things out and keep Auburn honest. I think Jonathan Williams is going to have 100 yards rushing. Anything you get from Collins and Marshall other than that would be gravy, would be really good. But I think Jonathan Williams is going to be the guy that they trust in this game because of the elements, because of the fact that it's supposed to be rainy and sloppy, and they want to pound it, and they want to make sure that, okay, we're going to put it in the guy's hands that we think can do the most damage and that we trust to not put the ball on the ground. And then I think Arkansas is going to try their best to hang on for dear life on defense. Rob Smith, man, he's going to try to make some plays, and I think Arkansas's defense is going to force 2 turnovers.
They are going to definitely be more aggressive. We've heard that from the start since Rob Smith got here. And what something that I think Bielema said, I think it was yesterday, he said aggressive not in that more blitzing and all this type of stuff, just in the way they play in general. They're just more aggressive.
No more 10-yard.
Like they're a little hopped up on some nos or something,
No more 10-yard cushions on the corner. I absolutely hate that. If you're not good enough,
just inviting them to throw it. Yeah.
If you're not good enough to get someplace closer than the first down sticks, what are you doing? Are you just going to tell them walk it down the field and then we'll try to stop you on the goal line? Because that's all they were doing. And then you're asking for, I'm going to keep creeping up, and then they're going to go right by me.
And it really does sound so silly to keep, doing the cliche stuff like, like I said earlier, control the line of scrimmage, or, you got to be able to pass the ball and all this type of stuff. But all that stuff is true. But I think for tomorrow's game, too, a big key because of the weather, like you were talking about earlier, is turnovers on both sides. For Auburn and for Arkansas, I think could be a real key to the game, because if you're Auburn and you're driving down the field and you fumble in the rain or something like that, or a receiver bobbles the ball because it's slippery and Arkansas catches it, that can take so much air out of your sails. If you're marching down the field, so. I think that could be a huge. I'm going to be looking for that tomorrow on the first few drives. If it's raining like it kind of looks like it will be pretty nasty, then I'm wondering how that's going to be.
All right, my players of the game and my predictions for the game. I've told you all of them so far except for one. I did say that I think the defense is going to force 2 turnovers. Whether that's an interception and a fumble, whether that's 2 fumbles, 2 picks, whatever it might be, I think Arkansas's defense is going to force two turnovers. I also think that they're, like I said, 5 big plays between Auburn and Arkansas. I think that's very conservative even to say 5 big plays of 20-plus yards. I think Auburn could do that by themselves, because if Arkansas is going to be super aggressive, it's going to bite you at some point. You're going to have a guy get burned. You're going to have an all-out blitz that they run a draw against or whatever it might be.
It kind of works both ways, though. I mean, they'll tackle Nick Marshall or whoever, Jeremy Johnson, 10 yards behind the line on a couple of plays. I expect that, but they're also going to get burned by either of those guys running for 15, when a play breaks down. So just kind of a give and take on that.
I think Nick Marshall's going to play in the first half. I do think that. The only way that I think he stays out for the whole first half, and I made this point on Wednesday. Gus Malzahn will come out after the game if he does sit out the whole first half. He'll say that was the plan all along. We told you we had a plan. That plan was to sit Nick Marshall the whole first half. Tell me that Nick Marshall would sit the whole first half if Arkansas goes up 21-0. Not a chance. Matter of fact, if Arkansas goes up 14-0, Nick Marshall's on the field the next possession. That's just the way I see it. If he sits out the first half, it's not good for Arkansas because they would just have been getting murdered. If he doesn't, I think if things go according to what I think they're going to, where Arkansas is enough in the game that Gus feels uncomfortable, Marshall's playing in the first half, and that's my prediction.
Now, before we get out of here, can we quickly cover the uniforms that Arkansas will be wearing tomorrow?
They're going to look good.
Yeah, the all whites, right?
All whites. I love it.
Yeah,
I think they're going to look good. And like you said, we got to get out of here. My stars of the game, when you look at after the game from both teams, when you look at the stats and you look at the guys who had the most impact, Jonathan Williams, he's going to have a lot of impact for Arkansas. I think Drew Morgan is going to have an impact because he's going to be one of those safety net wide receivers that, you hear a lot about Hunter Henry. You hear some stuff about A.J. Derby, and he may end up being really, really good in this game. But I think Drew Morgan's going to be a guy that's a safety net type receiver for Brandon Allen, who, he'll be there in the 7 to 10 yard range to dump it off and him get a first down here or there or run down the seam. He may hit him for a big play sometime during the game, but I think he'll be a good one. Sammy Coates, wide receiver for Auburn. If it's not him, it's Duke Calhoun. But I think Coates, man, I was watching some replay stuff. That guy is unreal. And Arkansas doesn't have an answer for him. Tevin Mitchell, not going to play, out 2 to 3 weeks with the hamstring. And then Will Hines, going to be the 5th cornerback, isn't even going to travel with the team. So you're going to have Carroll Washington or Collins guarding those 2 receivers. And that's just – I love those guys for Arkansas, but it's a mismatch. And they're in trouble. I think Coates is going to be a guy that's going to be a player of the game type guy for Auburn. And then I mentioned a running back. One of those 2 running backs is going to separate himself for Auburn, and you're going to be talking about him on Monday. 38-27. That's my score. Auburn beats Arkansas. That tells me that I picked Arkansas to win with the points because 18 to 24 points was way, way, way too many for me. If you were giving me those, I'd take Arkansas. I think Auburn's going to win the game at home, start the season off right, but I think Arkansas is going to see enough positive in this game, Maddie, that fans aren't going to go jumping off cliffs quite yet.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to steal your prediction because I like that. I like that 10 to 11 point. I was saying what I was saying earlier this week was like a 10 to 12 point thing. I think if I'll be happy. I'll say that if it's that score, I'll be okay, because if Arkansas can put up 27 points, that will show me that their offense has progressed.
Yeah.
And it being at Jordan-Hare Stadium, I'll be okay with that. But again, not going to be super surprised if Arkansas somehow comes away with the W.
Come on now. You won't be surprised?
I
would be very surprised. I do want them to win, but I'll be very surprised.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'll say that. I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, I never thought that could happen. I'll say that.
No, I'd be shocked. I wouldn't say it never could happen, because I've seen too many games where
That's
it's
what I'm
just like
saying.
that.
I mean,
But it's not like an absolute mismatch, but I'd be surprised. We'll put it that way. If Arkansas wins this game, I'll be surprised. I'll be pleasantly surprised. I'll never be happier to be wrong than if Arkansas gets this win.
Puts pressure on the rest of the season if that happens.
Oh gosh, man. Every game from then on would just be like, well, you beat the defending runner-up, and
what are you doing?
How do you lose this game? You're gonna have to beat that team. Oh, we're gonna beat
Hey,
Alabama.
I'll be happy to deal with that problem. Let's just beat Auburn.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Beat Auburn. Beat Auburn.
3 o'clock. SEC Network. If you don't have it, go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Come to my house. We'll watch the game, hang out over there. We'll be talking on Monday about high school football. We've got the schedules right here. We appreciate Coach Cody coming on from Atkins. We'll be talking to Coach Josh Price, the Dardanelle Sand Lizards, on Monday. They've got the Judges Cup Tuesday night against Danville. That's another huge rivalry game in the Yale County area there. So we'll get to high school football. We'll look at the schedules, who's playing whom. We'll also look at the NFL as they kick off their season next Thursday night, and then recap Arkansas, recap the weekend that was in college football. So a whole lot of stuff on a Monday. We appreciate you for joining us today. We hope you'll have a good weekend and come back at 11 o'clock on Monday to rivervalleyleader.com. For Maddie, I'm Mark, saying so long. Y'all have a good weekend.